Hey guys, it's Gareth also Pew Pew Pew. Welcome back to Season 7 of the GPC. This is week 4, a day late because my brother's over currently on to visit us, so I've been doing family stuff with him, and I could have rushed the upload and got it up yesterday, but with this game being a particularly close one and a particularly good game, I wanted to take the time to record and make a full video on it just to make sure I covered the whole thing, because it is a very, very good game. Possibly the closest game in League I've ever had. So this week we're facing off against Turbo, Turbo Blaze IV. You all know him if you've watched any of the GPC stuff. He's been here for the past, this is his 3rd season. And in the past 2, every time I faced him, I have lost. You'll remember the Rampardos attempt against him in Season 5, and last season he got the Scarf Bluff on Zerk, which sort of memed on me. So yeah, this time around he has got one of the most impossibly annoying teams to prep for. As you can see, he's got the Megazard, Bulu, Diggersby, Thunderous Eye, Empoleon, Hooper U, Hitmontop, Aerodactyl, Piloswine, Weezing, Levani and Pawniard. I mean, I'm just going to say the list of things that on his team that could potentially be wall breakers. You got Megazard X, you got Tapu Bulu, you got Diggersby, you got Hooper. You know, those are 4 things that break through defensive cores, and it's not a fun thing to prep for. I went through like 4 different iterations of teams, if I remember right, all of them featuring every single, you know, encompassing all of my team. There was one team with Banded Lycanroc D, there was one team with mainly defensive Avalugg to deal with Diggersby in case he brought Banded, which isn't walled by Hippowdon. There was all sorts of different sets that I was looking at and trying to run, and ultimately setting on a team wasn't too easy, as I feel that most things on my team could have been broke this week either for offensive or defensive reasons, but you'll see the team that I brought in a second, of course. Speed wise, I do have the advantage here, mainly because Mega Alakazam is a huge problem to him. Scarf Hooper or Scarf Diggersby don't outspeed it if you run Jolly with a certain amount of speed, or Timid, sorry, and I obviously prep for that. Weavile is also very good against his team. It's got quite a lot of pressure and it outspeeds a lot of things. Virizion, again, decent speed tier against most of his team. The only thing, of course, that outspeeds it is Thunderous and Aerodactyl. I don't see Aerodactyl coming. There's just too many slots for him to fill. So yeah, I'll just hop into the team builder and you can see what I decided to bring. Alright, so this is the team that I decided to bring. As you can see, I brought the Steelix, Weavile, Hippowdon, Megazam, Virizion and Kyurem. As I said in the matchup part, speed was a big advantage that I had over Turbo, so that's why I've sort of made the most of it with those 4. And in terms of defense, I kind of just had to try and play around what he had to bring. So first things first, I have the Steelix, which is a good check to both a special and a physical Hooper to an extent. Of course, the dark moves that it can throw out still do somewhat damage to me, but it's negligible when you consider how much Heavy Slam does, and the fact that I can, you know, just abuse it and set up my rocks, especially if it's a Scar set. It also checks Diggersby brilliantly with the Sugar Berry, which is why I'm running that in particular. You know, I no need to worry about earthquakes coming my way or anything of the sort. I can just stay in and heavy slam it or earthquake it or roar it out if it's, you know, setting up SDs. That's the main reason I have roar on this set, is just in case he is an SD Diggersby. So yeah, that's the main plan with this. It's also a somewhat of a decent way to beat a Piloswine in case he brings it. Heavy Slam does a decent amount to a non-defensive variant, so you never know. Yeah, Steelix, just a solid wall all around. Sturdy's useful. Stealth Rock's going to be pretty crucial this game. So yeah, with the Zard there. So hopefully Steelix can stay there and doing the work. Then we have a Choice Scarf Weavile with quite a lot of HP in this set, mainly because the speed's there to creep Thunderous Eye. He's not going to bring Scarf Aerodactyl if he does bring Aerodactyl, so this set speeds basically everything on his team. The reason I wanted to run Scarf over anything else was because in case he gets +1 with his Megazard, Foul Play with if he's lost 25% from rocks, is a guaranteed KO if he's not running any HP. So foul play at +1, you know, I still outspeed him if he's at +1 speed and attack because of, you know, Dragon Dance and everything. That's why it's there. You know, I didn't really need much more coverage than all this. I could have run low kick for Empoleon, but I've still got the knockoff, which does a decent amount, and I don't really want to keep this in on Empoleon anyway. It's just a way for me to either clean up late game or put pressure on his team from the get-go, so yeah, that's this Weavile set. Enough speed before, as I said, to outspeed Thunderous, rest in HP and attack. You'll see when you look at prep and people don't creep things and just say, oh, 252, 252, job done. This game will show you why that's pretty crucial on multiple occasions. Then we have a defensive Hippowdon, my best way to deal with Mega Zard. I take 42% from a Flare Blitz, I believe, max with this spread, and Earthquake does 56%, so unless he's the Will-O-Wisp set, I completely wall it. I've got the Toxic in case he is, because if he is Will-O-Wisp, he's not going to be sub as well, so it's going to be Earthquake or Toxic depending on what set he is, and I can slack off in his face if he's, you know, any other variant. Yeah, my main check to it, pretty straightforward, 2-4, you know, pretty much 252, 252 rest in Spadef. I didn't really need attack investment this week, mainly because I do break a lot of everything the Zard's got. Main reason I have Rock Slide is because we don't have to Mega first turn here, and if he does decide to stay in and DD on me, if he's DD'd before not Mega Evolving as I switch this in, I'm going to Rock Slide again in case he holds off on it once more. Then we have Mega Zam, one of the biggest win cons of this game once again. I've decided to bring a sub 3 attack set. I was close to running sub Calm Mind, but I needed the Signal Beam to basically just womp on the Hooper in case he wasn't expecting me to outspeed it. Focus Blast, of course, was for things like the Piloswine, the Empoleon. It's just very, very good coverage against most of his team. It also guarantees a kill on the Diggersby, whereas Psychic isn't. Yeah, it's just massively useful mod in this game. And also sub allows me to avoid a Sucker Punch from Hitmontop in case he decides to bring that as well. So yeah, sub was all around a good choice. I just couldn't fit Carmine in over one of the other moves. I just needed them so much. And then moving on to our more setup-y type sweeper, we have Choice Scarf Virizion. This is good in case he brings a special scarf. What's it called? Hooper. I can just bring this in, potentially on a Dark Pulse, Carmine up, and then just start pressuring his team. Again, it's a safe switch in on Empoleon as well. I don't need to worry about being burned or anything like that. I could just set up in its face. Even if he has Ice Beam, it does nothing to me once I'm at +1. So, and fighting coverage is generally good coverage against Turbo's team. The only thing really that can take hits from this is Aerodactyl, which, as I said before, I don't really see coming, but he could. You never know. Fighting Z Focus Blast, just because, you know, you don't want to always rely on the 70%. But yeah, all around good mon to bring. I think it can do a decent amount if I get a +1 up. You never know. Then we have Habanberry Curum. I was going to run Scarf this week, decided against it, which is why I now have the Scarf Weavile. Mainly to outspeed the, I almost said Dragonite then, the Megazard X, but the Habanberry is more worth it. I can take a +1 Dragon Claw. I can't take a +1 Flare Blitz after Rocks, and I think the Dragon Claw does 78% max, so it's a roll if I do come in on Rocks. This coverage is just fantastic against this team. The Ice Beam is good against most things, and the only thing really that can take an Ice Beam comfortably outside of well, you've got your Empoleon and the Piloswine, which both get bought by Focus Blast. So the speed was to creep Hooper, I believe. Nothing. No, sorry, it's to creep Diggersby. That was it. Rest in modest special attack, and once again, remember, HP and defense always useful. You need to always consider, especially when you've got a loose EV, kind of like I did with Weavile here, you always want to make sure you put it in the right defense stat. It doesn't always come into play, and very rarely it does. There are some situations where it will, and you know, it's best to be safe than sorry. So yeah, that's why I built this team. So main point of attack, get Rocks up as early as possible. Make sure I don't let Zard set up freely, or potentially his Diggersby if he does bring it, and then just punch holes with Alakazam. That's the main gist of it. So I'll see you in the battle, and yeah. As you can see, here are the two teams that were brought, of course. He decides to bring the Hooper, the Thunderous, the Piloswine, Empoleon, Charizard, and Hitmontop. First thoughts when looking at this: Sucker Punch, Hitmontop, of course. Possibly Assault Vest was what I was thinking initially, to maybe take a Dazzling Gleam or something like that on a switch. Megazard X, probably DD setup, you know, standard. It does quite a lot to my team. Empoleon, probably defensive for Weavile, or even potentially specially defensive for Kyurem. Maybe a mixed sort of defensive set, but I was expecting it to lean more towards physical. Piloswine, again, that would probably be a special defensive wall for Kyurem, probably expecting it to be Scarfed, and it can kind of wall Megazam to an extent. Thunderous, nasty plot setup, or maybe even Agility. Agility would be a lot better against my team with the Weavile, but you never know. And I was expecting it to have Thunder Wave as well for the Megazam, which is another reason why I decided to run sub. And Hooper's is obvious Scarfer. I mean, unless he's running Scarf Thunderous, that's his only option. So, looking at leads, I didn't want to lead Steelix into Piloswine. I didn't want to lead Mega Alakazam into Piloswine, and I had a feeling he would lead it for the rocks. I was leaning it for it to be one of those two, potentially for rock setup or to pressure out my two rockers. So I decided to lead Virizion and try and get a big hit on either or. And if his Empoleon did come in, I would set up first turn, because why not? He ends up leading, as you will see, with his Hooper, as I do lead with the Virizion. I don't want to risk the Scarf, and just, you know, no need to risk it at all. Go straight out into Steelix, as he does indeed reveal the Psychic, which to me hints towards him being Scarfed as he stayed in, but you can never make too many assumptions. Here I just go for Stealth Rock. You know, he's got no removal outside of these two, and I can safely switch in a few things on the Hitmontop, and I can safely switch in my Virizion on Empoleon, so I'm not too worried about his removers pressuring my team or anything. I just go straight out into my Hippowdon. It's my safe check to this. As he ends up revealing the Sunny Day, sorry, the sprites aren't changing for some reason, there it is, which to me tells me he's special, more than likely, or he's a dank Swords Dancer, I'm not too sure, but I was expecting him to special here, so I can't switch anything in on this really. I just have to get as much damage as I can with this, and, you know, sack it off. It was my check to this. He hasn't brought a Diggersby or anything like that, so, you know, I've made my peace with losing this. I just go for the Earthquake, do 74%, which shows he's running basically max speed, no HP. And yeah, I end up dying to the Flamethrowers. Pretty expected, not much I could do there. As I do, just go out into my Megazam, guaranteed to outspeed. Don't want to reveal any of my other sets just yet, as this is obviously just going to click Psychic as he goes out into his Empoleon, which is a good switch. I didn't want to over predict just in case he did stay in, or, you know, I could risk a Focus Blast miss anyway. I go for a sub here, hoping he'd go for a Defog or set up his own rocks, as he does just go for a Flash Cannon. Smart play, you don't want to risk this behind a sub, so I switch out here, fearing a Chopper Berry or something of the sort, not wanting to risk anything in particular, so I do go out into my Virizion as he Flash Cannons once again. Here I should have set up the Carmine, but I was fearing a Hooper switch, as I just go for the Focus Blast and end up killing off this Zard, sorry about that. Let me get to that turn. There we are. I killed off the Zard. Here I go for the all-out Pulling, as he, after the Zard was dead, he goes out into his Hitmontop. Unfortunately, that does 78% and does not kill, because Virizion is garbage. If I did set up the Carmine, as I said before, this would be dead. So it's a shame, but there's not much I can do about it. At least this is now super low and in range of anything that my Kyurem can do. I safely go for an Ice Beam here. Could have potentially gone for a Focus Blast, predicting the switch once again, but you don't want to risk anything, as this Piloswine takes absolutely nothing from this. So it's a more Spadef, but not fully Spadef Piloswine. As the Focus Blast just basically bops this boy, and he sets up a curse in my face. I'm not risking anything. I'm going for another Focus Blast, and what do you know? I actually hit 2 in a row. Call me Big Boy, Gareth, also known as 70% Pew. Let's get it. As now he goes into his Hooper, I can take any one hit that he's got if he's fully special, which he reveals to be, and I just go for a Draco Meter to get as much damage off on this as possible. I've no reason to stay in after this. I can safely go into Weavile. Nothing on his team really wants to switch in on me outside of his Hitmontop, and even then, after the damage that it's currently got, it will die to knock off on the switch. So I just go for a knockoff, no reason not to. Pretty much everything on his team dies to it. as this Empoleon does take 46% and does die to the next knockoff. He has a free switch into his Hitmontop here. I was expecting the spin, but I can't do much about it. Go straight out into Steelix as he reveals the Mach Punch, which I was also fearing to an extent. And here I'm considering switching out into my Alakazam, but that means it so I don't have enough room to sub and play shenanigans with that. And I have no really reason to preserve this outside of the Thunderous, but at this point I have one thing that outspeeds it and kills it, I have one thing that kills it and can't die to anything barring a Focus Blast, and I have something that outspeeds it and kills it. So I have no reason to preserve this, and down goes the Steelix, no reason again to ensure that it survives. And here I go out into my Megazam, which was a misplay. I should have gone out into Kyurem, because at this range I can take a not Bullet Punch, Mach Punch, and nothing wants to switch on me, which was definitely the play, whereas here I have to play mind games with the Sucker Punch and all that. Do go for the sub as he reveals the Pursuit, so in my mind he doesn't have it at that point. That's what I was thinking, because he has revealed Sucker Punch, the 2 fighting moves, Pursuit and 2 fighting moves. I was expecting him to be AV with Rapid Spin, so at this point I think it's safe to stay in and go for a Psychic, as he ends up switching out, which in my mind confirmed it, so I was pretty certain that was his set. Once again, enough speed on this to outspeed Scarf Hooper and Scarf Digger's B, so I have no worries. I just go for the Signal Beam and kill this off. He goes back out into this. Now at this point I'm calcing stuff. I'm like, he can't kill me with a Mach Punch, maybe he thought he could. You know, I was fairly certain that he was just sending this in, hoping it was GG. And then he reveals the Sucker Punch. So he hid that well, good play on his behalf. Once again, in the first place I should have gone out into Kyurem, which would have secured this being dead and then Megazam cleaned up, but you know, that was a slight misplay, whatever. Here I go into Kyurem, and here's where the defense and HP matters. I take no damage from that. Easy peasy kill with Ice Beam, job done. As here he goes out into his Thunderous. Now, I was kind of fearing the agility here, but I had no reason not to stay in. Draco Meteor killed. I didn't want to click Ice Beam in case he was Yachi agility. As now I got into my Weavile, as I was killed by probably HP Ice, maybe HP Fire. And here, again, Scarf, I outspeed. I can potentially flinch if he is Yachi. He does reveal the Yachi, he lives on 10%. And I tank the Thunderbolt because of the 116 HP EVs, easy peasy. Yeah, shoutouts to HP investment. So as you can see, 10% live on a game that was so close. That mind game with the Hitmontop was absolutely nerve-wracking. When he did reveal the Sucker Punch, I thought I'd lost. So yeah, once again, well played Turbo. That was a very hard game to sit through. I felt like my heart was going to fail at any moment. Shoutouts to the boy Mega Alakazam for pressuring his team insanely well. Shoutouts to Virizion for being garbage, and shoutouts to HP Investment for basically winning me this game. So yeah, I made a couple of misplays, like when I didn't go into cure him on the Hitmontop once he killed the Steelix, but you know, whatever. You do what you gotta do, and I did what I gotta did, so I ended up taking that. 1-0 puts me at 2 and 2 -1, I believe, which, you know, after 4 weeks, bearing in mind the people I've faced, I'd honestly take it. I would have preferred to have a positive differential, but at this moment in time, I believe a lot of people in our division are currently either 2 and 2 or 1 and 3. So I am sitting somewhere near the middle of the pack, I think on the higher end of that, but I'm not 100% certain. Next week, week 5, I forget who I end up facing. It's the last week before the interdivisional play. It might be Eric. I think it might be Eric, but I'm not certain. So yeah, all that's left for me to say is thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.